so demanding.
Oh.
Go live. There we go. All right. Hey guys.
Hello.
We're back.
Let us know if you can hear us, because you should be able to. Let's see who's right. Obviously, if you can't hear me say that, then you can't hear me ask the question.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know if you can hear us. We're talking.
Yes. Hi, guys. How's it going? Tech themed, Stuart. Tech themed. We like our tech.
Yeah, they say they can hear just fine, so that's good. All right, cool.
Hopefully there'll be lots of you joining, because it is fun to talk about tech. It is fun.
Absolutely. We love our tech, that's for sure. We've got some cool stuff to look at. So.
And we have a long history with tech and owning the props, and you know, I know I certainly made Lego versions of phasers, etc. when I was young. So you know, they've always I've liked them. Sometimes more than characters. You know. And certainly a phaser doesn't age. But them guys and gals do. So.
How dare they?
That's well. Or how dare the props stay so good for so long?
Right? Yeah. Welcome back, guys. Everybody hit that like button if you haven't already. And Area 51's right on top of things with $2 and says, I've done it again. First strike. Good job, Area 51. Thank you.
Nice. A powerful start from the aliens. Because that's where he's super changing from. Must be. That's the only thing that makes sense, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, they wouldn't. You know, it's hiding in plain sight. You obviously just give it away, and therefore people don't expect you. You know.
Yeah. Well. I don't know if you guys if you haven't checked out our videos, our Saturday and Sunday releases on those. Check them out after this live.
And I'll start showing people know and join us. I'll see you in a minute.
Go for it. Yeah. So guys, hit that like button. 20 people here, 22 likes. That is awesome. Just make sure that you hit that like button. Also, if you want a super chat, a great way to chime in with your thoughts and your feels. Let us know what you're thinking about this. We love talking about what you guys want to talk about. So by all means, let us know. Super chats are a great way to show your support for the channel as well. You can also subscribe to the channel, obviously. Click that join button. There's like a monthly subscription thing for the YouTube channel. If you want to, anyway. It's not very much a month, depending on which tier you pick. So take a look at it at least and check it out. You can also help us on Patreon/Trekyards if you want to do a monthly thing like that as well. Or you can send a PayPal. The information is in the description of every video for PayPal. Just send it to trekyards@hotmail.com. And then just let us know in the regular chat that you sent it so we can read your comment or question via the email through PayPal. That's another way to do it. So also down below there is the Teesprings and the TeePublic store. Some really great stuff down there. So check that stuff out. Click the links, look at the merchandise, and see what you might want to add to your cart at some point, and get some Trekyards merch. Eric Martin, $5. Much bigger display than the old flip tricorders. However, much easier for kids to break. Ooh, interesting. I probably shouldn't have read that without Samuel here. I'll reread it again, Eric. But yeah, busy weekend for both Samuel and myself, but for different reasons. I have a captain's log coming out about it on Thursday, so if you guys want to see what I was up to on the weekend, Eric already knows. He was there. He showed up. But if anybody else wants to find out, it'll be out on Thursday, so check that out. Don't forget, Thursday we also have Prodigy, the next episode, and the first episode of Discovery Season 4. So we're probably doing a live Thursday night for one of them, and then a live Friday night for the other one for the reviews. And then next week it's just down to Discovery, because Prodigy will be, well, and it's one of its mid-season breaks at that point. So yeah, but this week we got 2 shows, so we'll probably do, like I said, one on Thursday and one on Friday.
Oy.
So.
Oy vey.
Yep. Yep. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, welcome back. Welcome back, Commander.
Hi. Yes, all shared. Trekyards tech breakdown.
Good. Eric Martin, though, $5. Much bigger display than the old flip tricorders. However, much easier for kids to break. With a show exclusively with kids. Awesome.
Well, as we know, obviously they're hyper resilient materials, so if you could break this, you deserve a medal, because, you know.
Yeah.
But that said, Spock was able to, you know, or Khan was able to do that, so it's not that strong. At least the old ones, it's like, well, a super soldier, that's strong. Yeah.
That was one made of Play-Doh. You could tell.
Yeah.
Shay B says, if this Prodigy tricorder was made into some kind of tablet or iPad device, would you buy one?
Ooh.
Hell yes, I absolutely love the design. So yes, I absolutely would.
And that's a different way of framing that as well. Yeah. Yeah. Would it, I mean, I assume it actually work as a pad, like an actual iPad, like full functionality.
Yeah, that's I think what he's implying.
I wouldn't pay very much for it because it's an unnecessary purchase. You know what I mean? But you know, yeah, be kind of cool. You have to work out what to do with the bottom cut in, I guess, because it's a cutout, but it's the other bit. Unless that could be like, maybe like your heart rate or how many steps you've walked. You know, cut that off and have the rest of it be the screen. I don't know.
Eric Martin, though, another $5. Thank you. Wouldn't some kind of enhanced reality heads-up display be better for a tricorder rather than a pad to look at, especially when you are walking around? Yeah, I mean, they got those in Discovery now. The tricorders just project right in front of them wherever they look. It's kind of a cool idea, actually. But then you're getting into like Google Glass territory, and
well, and the problem is, then you're just getting into lots of other sci-fis that have done that. And once you go so advanced, there's nowhere further to go. I never know what the most advanced thing ever looks like, and it's just a badge that has a hologram. Like, that's it. That's as far as you can go. And that's hundreds of years in the future. Hundreds and hundreds. So you can't go anywhere close to that. I was just saying that thing isn't advanced, and it devalues what they did. So this is why the gentle evolution of an existing style works better. Because it, you know, rather than going radical. Because once you make a leap for the sake of it, well, now you've got this radical leap. Now you've got to keep going from that. Unless it's a visual reboot with Discovery, when you just ignore it because it isn't visual canon. It can't be. So it's like, okay, do what you do, but it ain't visual canon as far as prequel stuff is, because it can't be.
Yeah, well, these are very colorful and shiny and bright looking, which is really cool for the art style of Prodigy. So,
and yet also very monotone and shiny, and you know, like because it's all just silver and black. So there's no color in that. Not to say there's a normal phaser. I'm just, you know, it's both is very colorful. It feels like, and it's also just grey with greens and blues, but it still feels popping, even though it's actually a very simple color palette. So it's a good deceiver in that way.
Yeah, and yeah, Eric, I know what you meant. He said, I mean, a headset, not a projected hologram like in Disco. You know, but you don't want everybody wearing like goggles all the time, you know, or Geordie visors.
And besides, would you then click the air? In which case, it's just Discovery at that point, just without and they can already do holograms. So why would you need to do that? You just do the hologram on the you know, because it wouldn't itself be you'd have to link those eyeglasses to a tricorder because you couldn't put enough tech in that to be useful. So at that point, you're just seeing the display. So then, what are you touching? Yeah, you know. I mean, yeah, it'd be fine if you wanted. Well, I mean, the German Hadar used them, Dominion, the Vorta.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
I don't know.
That was just like a view screen, though. It wasn't necessarily a control device, or what? I don't
think
anyway.
Yeah. That was just a view screen. But I think it's had telemetry.
Yeah. So, well, 29 people here, 29 likes. That's pretty good. I think probably do better. I don't think everybody that's here has hit the like button. So hit that like button if you haven't. Let's try to get those up to 50 at least. And if you can super chat, please feel free.
So how do you feel then, having put even more time? Because we've both done real life Trek over the weekend.
Yeah, we both had busy weekends for sure.
Not that you necessarily have time to dwell on it per se, but let's go phaser first, and I'll bring up the comparison shot from our other episode, because it's nice to have all that stuff ready to go. So what do you think now you've had a few days of away time to mull it over and think and reflect?
I still really like the designs. I like the displays that the phaser has on it, but the Dolphin is the most perfect version of a phaser, I think, honestly, in that lineup for sure. So unless we talked about it could be some kind of specialty phaser,
That's still my hope. I'm still crossing those fingers, Stuart. I won't die on the hill. That's silly, because there ain't no high ground on this hill. But I will certainly say that's my logical assumption.
Well, the problem is, though, they said it was a Type 1, which would replace the other Type 1, which...
Well, the Type 1 is a tiny thing.
I know. I wish they would have said a Type 1A or something, or a Type X, Type 1X or something.
Oh, a Type NX.
Because it is an NX SS Protostar.
Every phase is called the Type X, Type X. It should have been Type 2B. Hand phaser, full configuration, B variant. That's would have been... Because it's not small. It's not oversized, it's not small, it's actually well-sized. In fact, we didn't do this in our video, but I'm actually going to Photoshop this picture and take out the Delta glowy thing. See if that improves the overall look. Guys, tell us in the chat, what do you think of the phaser? That's the starting one here.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know, guys.
I'll do some photoshopping.
And how it fits in this lineup of phasers. Yeah, it's only a few years after Lower Decks. I still get the feeling that it's... I mean, maybe even a Kelvin version of a TOS or a TNG phaser, because it definitely has that look,
Yeah, as soon as you said that, it does make a certain sense. I mean, we've said, is that bet going to be... Ooh, now it is Kelvin. Is that going to be a really fun reveal? It may still be. It may still be.
I'd be cool with that, actually.
Especially if it found a Starfleet buoy at some point. So as the Janeway hologram is from that or whatever, to kind of re-explain stuff.
Yeah.
Could be fun.
Just stop putting your branding all over things, guys. Not everything needs a Delta or 3. That's got 3 on it. It's wow.
Well, it also completely, I know obviously you can argue both sides, but it certainly says no to the idea of the Delta was exclusive to the Enterprise. It doesn't really flow anymore because of every Delta and everything in every universe and every. It's no, it isn't. It's just that is the Starfleet symbol. It's how they kind of retconned it all in, which is also the canon in a sense, but. It was kind of nice to have the unique deltas in TOS. It was a nice extra texture.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I don't mind it at all. I really like it. Like I said, I do want to get one of them. I'm sure Playmates will be coming out with one. Hopefully, it's not oversized or something silly, and maybe it's got more functionality. Maybe it's got.
Oh, it's got to. I mean, there's actually more just information. How that...
It actually looks like it might have a compass or something on it as well, because it's got a red arrow kind of thing. So who knows? Maybe.
Well, obviously we had all these different conversations on our video, but if it's a training phaser for a training ship, then giving it basic tricorder elements is a phenomenal idea. The team doesn't have it; they don't need. Then if you have both props, as an ensign, whatever, then you can, you need that sort of functionality. Boom, boom, there you go. Why wouldn't you? It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then it explains the weird thing. And then you can say the size is because it's extra battery, extra charge. If it feels slightly off proportion. Whereas you wouldn't necessarily expect the hand phaser Voyager to last years. I'd in my mind that's like a very efficient body, but you need to recharge it. It needs to go back into the armory after some number of missions or whatever.
Yeah.
Just the vibe I get.
SVS Guru 2000 throws in €10. Ooh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Looking at it, besides the ugly bulb with the delta,
Yeah.
I don't like the incongruous mix of sharp angles in front and the round grip. It looks more like a first state prototype than or not a finished design.
That's an interesting point. Interesting. Well,
Yeah. Well, that goes back to what we were hoping. That it's maybe just some new kind of experimental phaser. I mean, the ship is experimental, so it seems kind of silly though with the way she referred to it as a Type 1. I wish that wouldn't have been a line. I wish they would have fixed that.
but that might just be similar to how they said it's a D7. It's like, is it? Oh, it's not though, is it? That might have just been a, you know. But then we also take at face value the Kazon reference, not the Kazon, the Herodin reference. So it's kind of like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Either everything they say is, take it as face value, or you can't.
And yes, Dan, I read your email, or the thing is sent. Just because they say it's Prime, but it's got influences from everything else, doesn't explain why it looks like that in Prime.
Well,
just because they decided to do that, make it look like that. Let's have a reason. Let's,
Yeah, they're
not going to say. They're not going to say if it's a major plot point that, oh yeah, it's definitely the Kelvin design, or something. So
yeah, that's not a get out of jail free card. That's just saying we like and we'll use a bit of everything. You can't just introduce Kelvin stuff into Prime and say, oh, it's Prime. It's like that's not. You can't, or at least you can, and people say you can't. All right, so I've done a custom version where I've kind of hybridized it a bit. You guys and Stuart, of course, who I really super care about his opinions. He is a Stuart Foley after all. All right, I've given it some sort of hybridization. I mean, I'm not going to argue about its functionality. We'll get into that in a minute. But sort of tweaking it a bit. What do you guys think? I don't want to change ships too much, but just from doing this.
Kind of lengthened it and.
No, I just removed stuff.
Got rid of the delta.
No, I just removed the side and then.
Well, it looks longer. Looks longer when you take the bulk away from the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I halved the screen space, replaced it with the classic buttons and meter.
Feels better, actually.
Yeah? And the smaller screen also feels better, I think. Because what I'd do there is I'd have a third button at the bottom, click that on and off, you turn the screen on, and that's the tricorder. So like you said in the video, you said it's like a the Aliens motion tracker. It's like you hold it up and it has all the scanning data, but obviously in phaser mode you use it as phaser, and you still get most of both worlds there. But it is this version is then an odd. The front is so blocky, yet the back is so curved. It's sort of an odd combination, but it is it is still a phaser in this way. You've taken out the oddity. What do you guys think? Is this an improvement? Does that make more sense?
Oh, looks like it's got the ergonomics of the Dolphin one now, more so.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah.
And Devo77X says, I know I keep saying this, but since the ship is a prototype, most of the equipment on the ship are prototypes. I mean, that's never really been a thing, necessarily.
In Annex 01, the phase pistols were, sure. In Prometheus,
that's because it was the first ship going out there. They needed to equip it, right? So.
But Prometheus, they didn't have experimental phasers that we saw. In Excelsior, I don't think they had experimental phasers. I mean, you wouldn't just put. I mean, you're experimenting different things. You're experimenting a sensor buoy or a sensor platform. You're going to bring on experimental tricorders to test. You're going to bring tried and tested tricorders to scan the experimental device. So it's only if you're doing like a specialist mission or a training mission, like let's go test everything. I would think most things aren't experimental on a ship, but this ship has.
You wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want a ship full of brand new experimental tech because if some of it goes wrong, you don't have anything as backup.
I mean, if we're going that full on, is it experimental escape pods, experimental impulse? If everything's experimental,
life support, gravity plating, it's all experimental. So
and if you say no, that's silly, then where do you cross that? Where do you cross that line? Yeah. But it is so different though.
Yeah, the front could open. I don't know. There's lines on it, but all the phasers kind of open in some way. We've seen open phasers before. to access some of the internals. So
Yeah, you can remove both of the top panelings on the other two ones, and slide open the E one. Well, I don't know if the Picard one that slots down. I don't know. We only saw it like twice, so I have no idea. Oh, thanks, Brian.
And that one doesn't even seem like a standard Starfleet phaser, the Picard one. So
I'm happy to say that's the new assault phaser. I really wish that was like the canon they say, because it feels like a reasonably okay. I can see lineage, how black it is and how whatever. But obviously we know that the reason for it is because the producers didn't want didn't want a Hoover phaser. They wanted a gun phaser. That's it. That's the only reason. I think Patrick even said didn't want a gun dustbuster phaser, which then takes away the evolution of eras to just they don't want it. It's like, well, that's not a reason, is it? They don't like one thing. Let's throw it out and do another thing. Have both, have both.
General Grievous, $2. Like it made the handle a little smaller and 10 out of 10.
Oh, thanks. So I just spilled a drink. Hold on.
That's not good. Way to fail, Samuel. Feed Me Seymour says, I've got it. Murphy's gel pack from Photostar becomes sentient. Explain why he's on the planet. I mean, that's interesting, but I kind of doubt it.
What?
Feed Me Seymour says, I've got it. Murph is a gel pack from the Protostar that's become sentient. It explains why he's on the planet.
Yeah, I remember someone saying that earlier.
Might explain why he knows everything about the ship, how to use the phasers, where starboard is.
Oh, is that what you think? He knows everything about the ship. Is that what you're going with then, officially?
Sure.
But let's reset to the phase though, because it's
Maybe he's the goo that makes the drive work.
Yeah, maybe.
Eric says it's hard to know where the front is. That's why Jankum Pog shot himself. I don't think so. I see the distinct front end on that. Especially when you can look at it and like actually hold it and look at it, you can see like the grills on it, and there's nothing on the handle end, right? So
I know what you mean, because the shapes are quite like the phaser is very much goes to a point. This goes to a rectangle. It should go in more. I think that would help.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, obviously here's the original version again, and instantly the screen just looks ginormous. I mean, how is he firing it? Is the thumb firing it on the top, I guess? Because there's no trigger, because this isn't a gun version, so I guess...
Yeah, I would say that the thing in the middle is, like, that circle is maybe the which you could fire it holding it either way, so that would make sense.
And I guess maybe you up the thumb and you go click, 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 it changes the settings?
Possibly, yeah.
I'm just
looks like the bottom one's a slider, like it's in the set right in the middle right now. Because it looks like you just slide that back and forth. SVS Guru 2000 puts in €5, so thank you.
Thank you.
I have a feeling the front part hinges open like a snake when it's set to kill or higher for a bigger beam. Sure.
Ooh.
Be interesting.
Well, there is this
phaser.
little white connecting element. So yeah, maybe does flap open slightly. I mean, that feels very gimmicky though. It feels very like, well, not in the same way. It feels like the JJ phaser where the thing just flips. It's like, why does it do that? Because they can't have one nozzle that does both. Why not? Shut up. Okay, I'll shut up. Oh yeah. I don't know. That's interesting though.
Will Garmer, $2.
Hi, Will.
Hollow Janeway said it was a Type 1. Hope to see Type 2 too. Type 2 as well. Yeah. Problem is, we don't really have that in TNG. Like, if you're talking about this attaching to something else to become a bigger phaser, that's not a TNG thing. So, I don't know if that's what you're referring to specifically, but the Type 2 just might be the phaser rifle version of this. So,
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a rifle, but if this is the example of the rifle, it could look like anything. I mean, the First contact rifle doesn't look like everything else, but you can sort of see the design language carried over, which I prefer to the TNG one, which is just a bigger phaser. But I can imagine the rifle being very elaborate with lots of weird glowies and just odd things.
Dan says a couple of Star Trek TOS episodes where they go back and one person had the Type 1 phaser pointed towards him and died. That was sitting on the edge forever. Another person thought it was a radio communication. Yeah, but that doesn't look anything like a weapon. Nothing about that looks like a weapon, especially to somebody in the past. It's not the Type 2 phaser that looks like a gun. So this one with the way it's angled, yeah, I can see it being confused for like a microphone maybe or something, but I don't know.
Well, the 2S Type 1, if anything, at the time of the old person, it's the gangster planet, isn't it? It could just be like a little box that holds, weed, tobacco. Fun little. It's that small and that compact, little box.
And Will Garmer says in TNG the Type 1 was the little cricket. All those in the image are Type 2. Yes.
But it's clearly not a Type 1 given the size, framework, structure, usage. That's why it's weird. Now, this is why we think it's a prototype potentially because, or at least a test bed, because then it would be a Type 1 in its own class. That's kind of where, they're doing their own scheme, and that's okay. Because this can't be the standard phaser of the time. It doesn't look right, and it can't evolve into the Picard one. Like, there is no evolutionary line there. So it's sort of evolving from the Voyager one, but not really. Like, it's a cousin. It looks like a cousin to them, right? And more bells and whistles cousin. Civilian version or whatever.
Wow, yeah, I wouldn't hold the Picard one in any kind of esteem as to what this is evolving up to. Because I don't know if that's a standard Starfleet phaser, or if it's just a civilian. It looks like a civilian design, honestly.
Well, we know it's not just civilian because they specifically have. You only see it twice. Remember in the show, you see it when Janeway murders Icheb. And that obviously could be anything. That could be a Fenris Ranger phaser, but specifically you see the guards run into the room and to try and take on the B4, not B4 dude. Whatever his name. What was his name? F8.
Fate.
Yeah, Fate.
And you said Janeway killed Icheb? I missed that. I mean,
so 7 of 9 murders Icheb.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay. I was like, what the? Well, she wasn't in Starfleet though, so that's why I don't think they're Starfleet issue phasers. And the guys on Utopia Planitia are not necessarily Starfleet. Maybe that's the security for the.
Well, they're wearing Starfleet full uniform. I mean, they're in the standard. Okay. It's just under the. That's why it's such a weird scene because they come in, they get murdered instantly. But if you look for the right frames, they're in the full slicey uniforms. They've got the phasers, they've got the thing. So we know they are the Starfleet issue. Just she then kept them. They're just in one very brief moment. But that's which is why the only reason I bought one for 3D print. Otherwise, it's if that's civilian, who cares? But no, that's that's why I like it as being an assault phaser because then they're the guards in the tactical. It feels like the Star Trek. Spock's quarters, weird hat. The door's open, sir. You go assault phaser. It's like, yes, guard, tactical. So that
the Starfleet security with the leather armor. Good job.
Space leather. Give a bit of credit.
Right? Space. That's probably the hide of a Gormagander, which can withstand phaser blasts.
Oh no! But they're endangered.
Well, that's why.
Oh.
Gastrol 1980 throws in $5.
Hey.
Why does everything in Kurtzman's Trek need to have a delta to remind us it's Trek? Stop telling us it's Trek and show us. The worst was Disco Episode 1, Walk in the Sand. Oh, yes.
But remember, that was Brian Fuller entirely. That was not Kurtzman whatsoever.
Yeah. Oh, Fuller.
In fairness. But it's certainly strange. But then again, nothing in the Picard phaser. Which is weird. Or on no delta pattern. And I'm excited to see what they do in Picard Season 2, if they're going to show flashbacks with the uniform they've already established, if they're going to invent another uniform, if they're going to show the first contact uniform. There's going to be a flashback somewhere, just for the lols. I wonder what they're going to show.
Yeah. Well, it's coming up. It's February. That's coming out, and it's coming up pretty quick, actually.
And certainly if they made a new, Dustbuster variant, and it's that standard issue, and then you got the gun version as well. That'd be so nice. What would a more future version?
Well, We might get more phasers. We might get the alternate universe or the alternate
We'll see.
timeline, whatever. We got those ones. We'll get like. So who knows what we're gonna get? We might have a lot to look at. So
Maybe they'll be just the Voyager phaser, but reversed because evil black. So all the silver is black and the rest of it's silver. Like, the evil phaser, which would, to be fair, would look much more aggressive. And the emitter's red. It's like, oh, look at my evil phaser. Yes, evil. It's like, well, you flipped the colours, but okay. Good job.
wow, it's the flipping the colors is the equivalent for equipment as like growing a goatee for a person. It shows evilness.
Evil.
Merchandising, yes. That's what that's what I mean. These new phasers and tricorders, I can definitely see these being made by Playmates as one of the first things. You're gonna get these. You're gonna get a Protostar, and you're gonna get like the Prodigy action figures.
Well, and also I think we worked very well in Star Trek Online.
Oh yeah,
like straight in there as elements.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't, Playmates. Obviously, I know they've not been around for a while, but we haven't seen any of the new phaser tricorders made by anybody except 3D print, so fans.
Yeah.
We had like one very slight round Discovery phasers from a Novos, the former Novos, and then some rifles, former Novos rifles. It's like that's it. The demand was so little, etc. And it's just shocking to me. We've had, what would you say, at least 10 new uniforms between Discovery, Lower Decks, and Picard. At least 10?
Yeah, I would say so.
Why are they not capitalizing on that, just making uniform replicas? StarTrek.com. Every time they invent a new one, you can make a new print. But I mean, it's not as if you have to redesign the molds. You've literally got the seamstress phone them, say, "Can we have your pattern? We'll make it. Send us one of your 13. We'll make." You would think these will be mass produced, and I mean, why aren't they making all of these phasers in this lineup? People would buy them instantly. It's shocking to me they don't try.
I know. I totally agree.
I mean, yes, there are, as good as you can get fan ones. I have a couple of those. But they've been doing it for 20 years. Some of them. It's just weird they won't capitalize on that. People love the props. Love them.
And the chat is talking about deltas, and Insaba Manure says, "Oh, but the delta on the boots of Lower Decks gets a pass." No, the delta on the bottom of the Lower Decks boots is awful. It's one of the complaints we have about Lower Decks.
Yep.
But considering it's on the bottom and you barely ever see it, it's not in your face. So
you forget 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
It doesn't get a pass. It's not as annoying. And let's be honest though, that one I can buy because you do have patterns on the bottom of shoes.
Yeah.
So that is actually a precedent in real life. More like as a thing, and I could see it being the only thing. Or like,
you got Nike shoes that have the Nike thing in it. So when you leave footprint, you got the Nike thing. Yeah.
So that is actually has a slight understand. I wouldn't even mind it being in the phasers and a delta somewhere if it was if it was like right there, a little delta right there.
Mm-hmm.
Super out of the way, just a little branding mark, like made in China, just put it right there. Then it's like, okay, Starfleet emblem, maybe it's got a special track, maybe that's where the tracker is. Like and then you put a UV paint over it, and it shows you a serial number. Like that would be like logical. Yeah, I could buy that.
It's like the Transformers rub symbols. You can't tell what it is till you rub it, and you know whether it's a Decepticon or an Autobot. So,
or one's purple, one's orange. No,
red, but the rub symbols are black.
Oh,
and you can't. I actually have one on my microphone right here. Rub it, and it tells you whether it's an Autobot or a Decepticon. That's Autobot.
Still looks black to me.
Hold on, yeah. Because the microphone, because it's metal, it's cold, but.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it disappears really quickly. It's like robots in disguise. You don't know what it is.
So the symbols are that close that you can have a joint variant.
What's that?
So the Decepticon and Autobot symbols are so close that you can have one graphic that represents both, and have them inside each other.
Nope, they're not close at all.
I didn't think they were. So shouldn't you be able to tell what it is just by sight without the color?
No, because there's just one. They just have one shape, and both shapes for the Decepticon and the Autobots are inside that shape.
Okay, so it's an overall shape, a new shape they're in. Okay. I was thinking more subtle than that, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Yes. Oh.
But yeah, you got a delta on the bottom. That's a rub symbol. You rub it, you get the serial number.
Yeah.
Ooh, fancy.
I mean, that I think would be logically fine. Nothing against that. I mean, a delta in itself isn't a bad thing. It's just you shouldn't pattern clothes that you shouldn't have deltas, on the buttocks of the underwear, and they do, at least on the side. But it's odd.
You get Calvin Klein that has it like written all around the waistband.
I guess I could be okay with a waistband delta. That's a little bit different, but that's like in context rather than I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. SPS Guru 2000 puts in €5.
Thank you.
That 2386 phaser looks reminiscent of a German 1993 butchered
does it?
C93 pistol with that overhanging bulb at the end, perhaps to show evil Starfleet.
That's interesting. Yeah, it does have a certain vibe there.
Yeah.
Nice shout. I just think it just balance it out. Actually, I'm fine with that. Of all the things, the way not the whole thing, just that he does balance out the shapes.
Mark Deanda puts in $20. So thank you so much.
Boom.
It looks like it has a tricorder capabilities detecting proximity. How about an advanced firing feature? Remember Nemesis for Picard had Worf fire the phasers at 0 elevation during the scimitar battle?
We've
kind of talked about that in our edited review that has multiple, like even like a motion tracker like you see on the guns from Aliens. You see people coming around the corners or down other hallways. That'd be neat. And helpful with the weapon because it's in front of you. You don't need the tricorder and the weapon, which you see a lot of times them doing. So,
well, it's also not a direct comparison, but if you're a trained military officer, you can fire with a pistol straight from the armory. But if you're whatever other person, you might need a stock, you might need a scope, you might need extra things to help you work. Whereas if you just have used that gun for hundreds of hours, you just innately know. And so a normal phaser is not holding a hand; it's a tool. You use it, boom, boom, boom. This feels like an aid to being a tool, so it fits the more of the trainee mindset quite well. Although I'm wondering what advanced features would it have, like because you call it 0 elevation, which is very specific. Because the phaser can already go from stunning, heating rocks, melting rocks, to disintegrating to disintegrate or destroying an entire half of a building. So I'm wondering what else could it do? What do you think? What would be advanced feature as a weapon array like he quoted there? What could it do?
Well, interestingly enough, while you were saying that, with that bulk on the bottom where the delta is, I'm wondering if that's some kind of special. Again, like let's say it's the like tied into the drive of the ship. It's the same kind of element that the drive uses. Ooh. That maybe this thing can fire through walls without damaging the wall. Kind of like
in the Protostar or in any place.
Any place.
Oh, okay.
It's got a little bit of the element in the phaser. That's what that bulk is at the bottom. It could be like a phased cloak kind of beam weapon.
Huh.
Who knows? I mean, that would make a lot of sense considering that that's kind of an odd feature of this design is that big bulky thing there. And we still don't know what the drive does or how it's powered. Is it the chimerium that they're mining? I don't know, but that'd be a cool experimental phaser. You would need more fancy displays, maybe.
Wow, I'm trying.
Well, it glows white. So does the middle drive.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, you have to tie that in with the motion tracker, like you said, so you could see 10 feet ahead of you and through a wall. I was shooting through a wall in itself isn't a useful feature, except in very certain circumstances. But if you can scan, then you can just stun through a wall. That's interesting. Yeah, if the drive is some sort of interdimensional, interphasic. But yeah, and then the bulk makes sense.
Yeah. And looking completely different than every other phaser we've
and yet
seen.
Still a variant of the hand phaser style is as far as we can go with it. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Yeah, okay.
I doubt it, but
it would also explain the a reason for it to be experimental with the ship, because it's all like, well, it isn't meant to be a phaser. It's meant to be a test phase to see what this thing could do. If you slam two technologies together, like we saw, that phaser rifle that we both held, the TR-116. is extremely clever gun. It's a gun phaser with a gun, so it fires projectiles plus transporter, and it's never used again. It's not. It was very useful, but it was a failed device. But it was still a thing. It looks super different, like a green gun, and features very different. And it was not adopted. That's I could buy that actually. Good job.
Well, JB makes a good point. Maybe the phaser has an auto-targeting multi-beam function so that you can hit multiple enemies, or only certain enemies out of a group at once. You got that big circle. I mean, all you got to do is like tap the ones you want to hit, the targets that are showing up, and fire one beam, and
oh wow,
that'd be cool.
That's well, that would also play to it being a kid phaser. You know, auto aim is a big thing. Which, to be fair though, in the ship they just say everything's on auto, just press the button. Yeah. So that would link that. Hey, we're putting this up. See, this is why the chats are great. We're talking, we're evolving. So we're not poo-pooing it. We're saying let's work out why. That's really fun. That's a really fun part of this. Those are some really good ideas. Or actually, briefly, I know. What if also it isn't just a phaser? This is similar, but in its own unique way. What if it's also a generator of like, if it's an emitter as well as a phaser, so it can generate not necessarily tachyon, but particles, different radiations. You wouldn't expect a phaser to be able to send out radiation. But what if this thing can swap its emitting to thalon radiation and polon radiation, and for different purposes, etc. So it's actually a generator of something as well. What do you think?
That's interesting.
Simple.
Could work. The one thing that I was thinking when you said that though is just trying to think of different uses for it.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if, because it's got the delta on it, it's like a personal transporter system. You just tap your comm badge with the delta on the side, like boop, and it generates its own like transport. You don't need a transporter pad somewhere.
Huh.
That's kind of stupid, but that's just what I was thinking at the time. Like, just
Well, yes and no, in a sense that I like the idea of having it be a like a pad without a pad. So more a case of you go, because we've seen in the ship for some reason they have like warp functionality displays on every station, give or take, which seems unnecessary and kind of like why. So the idea of having multiple redundancy is a thing in this universe, in this variant. So yeah, maybe if this is unlike, because you wouldn't expect the normal phaser. Like, it's not a computer in there per se. It's not wirelessly linked to your ship in any way. It's just a tool, right? If this is wirelessly linked to the ship, then yeah, you're right. Swipe left, transporter, activate, set ABC, like say click, whatever. And so while it's not transporting in any way, it's allowing direct communication with the ship. You don't have to computer and get everything's here, manual. It could be quicker. Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe because the ship's so small and lands, if this is like a remote control to actually move the ship from where you landed it.
Ooh.
Oh, you're frozen. There we go.
There you go.
Back. Yeah. You were frozen there for a second, but yeah, use it as a remote control. That's why it's got the dial. You can like fly the ship to you if you're understaffed.
That's yeah. No, that's really interesting. And I can actually imagine as well if you combine the two props, because I know often you have two together, it's not necessarily a unique thing. The way Dahl was holding both, they felt like a very natural twosome. And so yeah, right, if one is a thumb pad to dial, and the other one you maybe even is the view screen, you can see it. Because everyone on landing party should have these two things. Like we take a phone and a wallet, right? You're not going to leave the house without one or the other. Like 9 times out of 10. Even for like a walk, you bring a phone or a wallet. So, I mean, that's certainly logical. I'm not going to say it's too advanced because that seems wrong because it's the future. But I'm trying to think purpose, like how often would that be useful? But if it's just a fun functionality added, because like you say, it's such a small ship, it's meant to be crewed by a couple of people. I don't know what the purpose of the ship is. I could buy that. That's interesting, and it would explain why it's actually not much bigger, but feels bigger. We went to use it in junction with the tricorder. That's really interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Huh.
Will Garmer puts in $5. No phaser since TOS has optical sights. They must read the user's eyes for targeting. like eye-controlled focus on a real-world camera.
Oh, yeah.
I can see some kind of sensor that it's always pointing back at you, looking at your eyes, seeing what you're looking at for targeting. Maybe, but then you're looking at the hostage you don't want to hit. Oh shit! I don't know. Don't know if I buy that one. RL puts in £9. Thank you so much. Love the chats, fellas. Keep up the good work. Thank you. We love them too. And like you guys give us all these great ideas to like expound upon. So,
because this is sort of stuff that can define a show. This is their phaser, and their tricorder, and their delta. That is unless to lower decks, it's just a weird, distorted version of a normal phaser. It's like, hey, okay, it's a phaser. Cool. Don't think much of it.
SVS Guru 2000 puts in £5. Is that 2386 phaser a rubber prop to throw around or an actual hero prop? If it's the latter, oh boy, because it looks kind of rough. I don't think it's a rubber prop. I think this was one that was on the in the Picard display that was going around.
That's the one from the show.
Yeah. So no, I think it's a hero prop.
I mean, they didn't do much, so like, I mean, they probably were rubber. I mean, resin and rubber, but yeah.
Yeah. JB says he likes the particle emissions idea. Maybe use it to disrupt force fields, different energy fields, create a defensive shield in front of the user, disable enemy electronics or weapons.
Force fields way more energy intensive though. I wouldn't. That's a little bit too far.
I mean, a temporary one, act like kind of a shield momentarily.
But how's temporary is temporary?
Minute and a half.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Answered. Yeah, I don't know. Because I was thinking particle emitter, because if it ties in with the ship, we don't know what the drive does exactly. But different particles can do lots of different things in generality, and it's more of a, like we said, it pushes it from being a phaser to a tool. The normal phaser is a survival tool rather than a productive tool. The fact that Geordie can melt rock isn't going to be useful a lot of the time, but in a survival situation, that's really, 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 really useful. This adds the extra functionality that's like for specialist things that is cool, but you don't need it for most things.
Not a band account. Okay. $5. When will Hollow Janeway teach the crew how to best execute crew members? Computer, activate simulation 2VIX1. Jesus Christ. Rock Talk Pog. Jankum Rock. I don't know. Hopefully there'll be no transporter accidents. We haven't seen any transporters yet in this show, which is weird for a Star Trek show. They tend to be like the thing you see all the time. Star Trek Voyager encountered an alien force field that was able to use their hand phasers. They've done that many times. That's what phasers are for.
So I put up a new poll. Start a poll. How would you rate this phaser? Amazing! Good! Okay. Don't like it. Pretty broad. But as a lot of the Prodigy stuff, let's give it more time. Because as soon as we start seeing functionality in it, it explains its weirdness. That's important, and we haven't seen that yet. And if they're going to be stuck on this planet for this episode, maybe another... Well, we don't... There is no other ones for a while, so who knows? But for the next one, then I like it. Well, I can certainly assume there'll be some firefights with the roots. Hey, thank you, doll. Well, your picture doesn't help me know which person you were that I said hello to, or you said hello to me. Which fan were you? Thanks, though.
Gestrel 1980 puts in $5.
Boom. Thank you.
Has anyone considered that this show just handed out guns to children, even kids with no training? But there's the default settings stun. It's fine.
Well, but it's a context. they're cadets, which means they're in Starfleet. They already got through rigorous training, rigorous approval. They're fully Starfleet certified as trainees, which means they've used phasers at some point. And if they haven't, they're, they are trusted to use them. So they're not children; they're cadets. That's the disparity between the reality of the scene and what Jeremy thinks the scene is. It's like, would you give tasers to police academy cadets for training missions? I don't know, but maybe.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think you would.
Yeah, I mean, special circumstances, but they are.
But that being said, you wouldn't hand a 12-year-old a taser and say, "Hey."
Unless you have brain damage and thought they were a cadet.
That's true.
But that's the weird distinction there.
Not a bad account, $5. Teaching children to use firearms is acceptable in different cultures. More rural areas need to defend livestock, and some places need more defense.
Yeah. And like we say, these things aren't so much firearms as tools, because yes, you can just literally disintegrate somebody, or you can, give them a bit of a headache. They're not. The lowest setting is probably going to be a tickle. Let's be honest. So it's a weird one. It's a weird one, because there's also going to be civilian phasers. I'm sure, there are billions of varieties of phaser, of lasers, of disruptors, of whatever, and every civilian has a phaser because it's useful to take out to cut wood. Mm-hmm. So it isn't. Contextually, you would give your kid a phaser at 2 and say, "Can you just turn the fire on with a phaser, please?" Thank you, little Timmy. You're welcome, Dad.
Light the barbecue.
Yeah, it's a tool, And I'm sure there must be versions where you can disable the higher functions without much hassle. So then you can just say, "Oh, we can only do Mark 1, 2, and 3 and stun. The rest are locked out." Harder for a TNG one. That'd be an internal switch thing. That'd be an internal thing, and that's obviously a military weapon. But I'm sure there's civilian phasers that are just literally for stun or for tools. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense. I've never thought that before, but it does make sense to me at least.
It does, kind of,
yeah.
SPS Guru 2,000, €5. Yeah. She also handed them a huge car, and none of them had license.
Yeah. That's a good one. I know context clues were not helping her with it. They're not good at this. That's a thing.
Mark Lawrence, $5.
Hey, good.
These phasers are a .22 caliber of the future, a good trainer for the young ones. There you go. Yeah, maybe they're special cadet training phasers. She just hasn't introduced them to the real ones yet, because she thinks they're cadets.
Yeah, we have said that. It is logical. There is some logic there.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been a great phaser discussion, actually.
Yeah. Well, you guys vote on the poll. When we get to 50 likes, we'll switch over to the tricorder.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking for almost an hour on this one, so it would make sense.
So, guys, 9 more votes. Please put your vote in, because this could still change any which way. That's a very interesting vote. And, Discovery Season 4 this week. So, hey, who knows? Another new phaser! Maybe! God darn it.
And Lancet, yes, we know she specifically called it a Type 1 phaser. But it could be a Type 1 training phaser. It could be a Type 1 experimental phaser. It could be... Who knows?
It could be a Type 1 of their version of phaser. Because it isn't a Type 1 phaser, you can tell. It doesn't have any of the hallmarks of Type 1 phaser. And we've seen literally lots of Type 1 phasers from TOS to TNG. It's not a Type 1 phaser in the correct... in the military branch of Starfleet lineage. If it's something else, Type 1, that's fine. But it isn't the classic Type 1. 5 more likes, guys. Or 5 more votes, guys.
And odds are it could lock into something bigger, like a phaser rifle kind of thing. That's another reason maybe it has that bulk on it. To, basically the phaser 2 part is just a shell. That's the power supply. Plug it in. Got a display. Who knows? Just an amplifier in the shell.
It'd be a big Type 2 then. Or a SMG where it takes up almost all the shell, because it's already a full hand phaser size. Whereas Type 1 is meant to be tiny.
Yeah.
Would be weird. And giving them rifles does feel a little bit more... Then it's like, let's give kids the rifles. Like, oh, good. when literally a phaser can do everything you need. It's unnecessary. 3 more votes, guys, on the poll. Please, vote now. Please, please, please.
Not a bad account. $2. We need a return of the very own T Disruptor.
Oh.
Hashtag UFP. Yeah.
That's the gun you give kids. Yep. Vote, guys. 2 more votes in the poll.
SVS Guru 2000 puts in €20.
Oof. Boom.
At least Janeway should have done. The least Janeway should have done is take an hour to teach them the basics of holding and firing a phaser and basic safety. Maybe she was hoping the kids accidentally kill each other so she can take the ship home. No, I don't think so.
Well, if that was the case, she wouldn't have kept them on stun, because Pog would have been dead already.
Yeah. And Eric says, didn't she call it a standard type 1? I don't remember. I can actually go look. Hold on.
I don't know, but, standard to what? There's a context. It's like she's wearing a comm badge, which is not the standard comm badge of the era. And so therefore, if they say, oh, it's a standard comm badge, no, it's not. It's a proto-star comm badge. That's not standard Scamcher, it's not standard Elcars. These aren't standard elements. We know what Lower Decks and Picard and blah, 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 look like. This isn't standard for that everyone is. Whatever. Guys, 2 more votes, please. In the poll, 2 more votes. Anybody here can vote. It's free, it's easy. It is simple. But no, this phaser is interesting, but it's definitely feels like a kid show phaser. And that's kind of my closing thought on it. It's got a certain edge of it. So, as a lot of these things, it's a hybrid of concepts where, the kids thing kind of won out a little bit too much. Just a little bit. But we do have 50 votes, though. How would you rate this?
No,
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
So Dal says, is this some sort of disruptor? And she says, a Federation Type 1 phaser. Doesn't say anything about standard. Doesn't say anything about... She just says a Federation Type 1 phaser.
Yeah, she doesn't quantify new.
She also doesn't say Starfleet. She says a Federation type.
That is true. Why has she mentioned Starfleet yet? Or just Federation?
I think it's Federation, even when she showed the ships. Oh, no, well, no, she said Starfleet is the exploration branch of the Federation.
Okay, yeah. That's really interesting, because we've said this could be a civilian version, because it would certainly fit that mold.
And then she goes on to say, only to be used in an emergency.
Like shooting the version of me that's a twig. No, I love that. Yeah, Federation version. That's nice. Yeah, hey, civilian. Perfect. All right, how do you rate this phaser? 53 votes. 15% say amazing. 34% say good. 28% say okay. And 23% say don't like it. So majority of good, and a high, overwhelmingly yes versus no, but pretty 50% medium and some high, some low. That's about right. Okay, cool. Closing that poll. Yes, let's move on to the tricorder / the pad, but not really, but maybe.
Yeah.
The pad rater. That's totally what that is. I got a lovely old graphic here. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, the tricorders I like. I gotta say, they're shiny, but yeah, they look more like a pad than anything. So. Well, guys, 71 likes, 64 people watching. If you haven't hit that like button, hit the like button. Let's try to get to 100. That'd be amazing. Super chats are rolling along nicely, so keep putting in your input. We're moving on to the tricorder now, so we can talk about that.
Yes.
Some websites list the weapon as a Type 1 mini phaser pistol as seen in Star Trek Prodigy.
Well, wasn't called that, so they're not correct. I think I'm by canon. So.
Yeah.
Easy answer, Stuart. Easy answer. So yeah, what do you think now in retrospect? Well, no, in more vibe then. What are you thinking for this one?
Again, it doesn't seem like a standard tricorder. It seems like a pad. It does seem like a multi-purpose tricorder type of deal, though. Like tricorder and a pad together, which would make sense. It would be a good evolution of the technology, but I don't know. I still really like the design. I think it looks cool, but it doesn't really tie in with all the other ones we have there. It's not. we did see the size. It's bigger than a standard tricorder, so it's also a lot thinner. Maybe, because these are pretty thin.
Mm-hmm. So loud. Wow.
Oh.
That was
I'll just do
powerful clip as well. There you go. Yes.
So yeah.
So is that the Master Replica one?
This is the Roddenberry Legacy one.
Oh, don't even know if I knew you had that one.
Well, I didn't have it till yesterday.
Oh, was it a present or did you buy it?
I'll have to tell you about it.
You will. That's my favorite tricorder, as you know.
Yes.
But once you get a hero, it's hard to go back. It's like, oh, everything.
Oh, yeah, this is a nice weight.
Yeah,
awesome.
I think that's what the dad has. It is too heavy. Like, it does feel a bit, but I know what you mean. It's like, oh, it's meaty. And like, that's too heavy. I actually want to convert dads to see if they can add the turn the sounds off switch, because it's so unuseful as a prop. It's completely, and also even the magnet. If you just take it out, the magnet's always strong enough to hold the door open. So it's like you gotta like.
This one doesn't have a magnet.
Oh really? Oh, okay. Yeah.
This one you can just.
Knock you, eat your heart out. Mine has like a subtle magnet thing, and that's kind of it's very subtle because it tells the internals when to turn on. That's how it knows. So that was a show and tell. What do you guys think of the tricorder? Let us know.
And Area 51 puts in $5. Does the Prodigy tricorder come with screen protection like a cell phone? No, it's probably made of like transparent aluminum. So
yeah, yeah.
With a sapphire crystal displays because they don't crack or scratch very easily.
But it's Gorilla Glass 403.
Yes.
I think mine's Gorilla Glass 10, so really kind of. That eugenics war didn't stop Gorilla Glass development. I don't know if you knew that. It didn't. That kept going.
I didn't know that. No.
But I mean, we don't really know about the war anyway. So so how would you actually? And I thought we should also do another tricorder rating tricorder episode. Because now we didn't do one. Well, I don't think we've even done one, have we? Actually, now I'm thinking about that. We've done the phasers. I don't think we've done tricorders.
We haven't done tricorders, no.
So there's like that. I love the idea of the Picard one. That they did one. It was literally in half of a frame, and in its box. That's the tricorder, guys. But yeah, we had it did. Because the Picard one kind of screws the Prodigy one over a bit. Because it is like the other ones, just bulky and kind of Kelvin-y, but it does have the small screen as everything else does, which goes against the idea of this one.
Yeah, well, as I said in our, and as Dan just said, this one reminds me a lot of the Enterprise one, just because of the slide-up screen. It's a lot bigger display too. Like, there's a lot more you could do with that, I think.
But also,
it seems like a much more handy tool than just a regular tricorder.
But also, given the fact that when they do slide it up, you are losing so the top layer is all screen, right? So only the bottom layer is actually tech. There isn't any visible lights that scan. So I would assume this thing has less scanning abilities than a normal tricorder because it's not got as much physical, focused room for it. Would be my guess. So maybe it's compromising actual scanning ability for information readout. Whereas the other ones are dedicated, like you can see there's 3 medical tricorders here and 2 engineering, 1 time tricorder. So maybe this is a lower end tricorder, but therefore better at image, showing things, doing things. I'd be fine with that compromise. They upscaled. It's like, you get an iPad mini or an iPad, you're compromising on certain things when you choose which one you want, but, different form factor is important to you. Whereas if you want to really, if you need to be able to scan somebody to the bottom of their DNA, you do something with the best scanning potential, not the most screen potential, because dead or not, or 14% lead poisoning, like that's information very small. You don't need a full diagram of it, but you need the scanning ability. So I could see that being very much what this is: less information, but more readable information, and therefore more multi-purpose. What do you guys think?
Well, read Ozzy's last comment and answer it for him.
Where is the TOS tricorder, guys? It's in the past. Where's the Star Trek 6, Star Trek 5, Star Trek 4, Enterprise?
The motion picture one, yeah.
It's the where's the TNG version 1? I mean, I've always got with these things, like, if I make it too small, people can't appreciate the comparison details, because you're going to make them much smaller every one you add, first of all, and B, you wouldn't be linking to a thing from 100 years ago, because...
That's why the Enterprise one's on here, even though it's got the same slidey feature.
Yeah, because it's like, it's not part of the evolutionary line. It's a cool callback, but it's not an evolutionary line development. So yeah, but the future stuff is because that follows the line directly. Yeah.
SPS Guru 2000 throws in €5.
Hmm.
Do you think the tricorder is needlessly holographic as well? No, it doesn't appear to be. That being said, there are some holographic displays above their consoles on the bridge, and that might have the capability to do that here. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah,
it's not necessary by any means, but
yeah. I think I went into our first review thinking it was probably some level holographic, but I think you sold me on. No, it's not. It's just a screen. And a screen can also be a holographic screen, but it stays in the confines of the rim. Yeah. And like I say, it's just transparent aluminum with stuff projected onto it. So holographic or not, but I don't think it would necessarily have to push out of it. I've got the other view. Well, let me swap to the multiple view shot, because that kind of shows. Because I mean, if you look at the way Zero's holding it, like, the entire screen almost goes up. So, and there's no buttons below it. So it's just empty space. So it's just, there's a screen, and you press the screen, and it flips up, revealing metal. It's a gimmick, guys. It's a total gimmick. There isn't a reason for it. There's not even flashing lights on the back, which would be,
Yeah. It'd be interesting if it slid up and there was like some buttons or some kind of accessibility there when it did, but.
Oh, because then you've got the idea, like you said, your tricorder, like you can't use it, but obviously you're revealing all of the extra functionality. I mean, it should at least have had this thing, the emergency button, and obviously it should still have this sticker. Like, that's an important. But how do you know what tricorder is? These things are important. Yeah. They've been there for a year, etc. But I don't know why it wouldn't have the scanning bar that's been there for a long time, etc. Yeah. Because they didn't want to, obviously. But like I say, it's a pad. It's a scanning pad. It's a scanning pad with less functionality than tricorder, and that's how that makes sense. That is what I will go with.
Anton asked me to hold this up again and see, what did he say? I forget what year he said. I'll hold it up so you can see it. Mute it, don't worry. Where is that message?
Well, Dan, there was a thing they used, but it wasn't really a half-assed prop thing. It wasn't really a thing. It was just a thing they happened to have.
And Anton said, "Is it the 2371 model?" Yeah, this is the Voyager one.
Yes, sir. And then using First Contact, Insurrection, and then Nemesis, they went for a pad style, which not many people like. I'll jump back to that for a second. Not because it actually looks bad or anything. It looks fine. It's more that it isn't very interesting. Like, it loses all of the originality of everything else. It's just now because I think it's just a phone, an iPhone 1. It wasn't really, but it just feels like an iPhone 1 with a bar on the top. Like, it's not interesting anymore. And I'll use one in a fan film at some point, but my retcon is that it's a specialist tricorder variant not actually a standard tricorder, it's a variant. So it's if you want X, Y, or Z, and yes, for data, it's better, but for scanning, it's worse. And so Geordie uses it in engineering. Like, he uses it to turn on and off the force fields on Nemesis, and that'd be really hard on a teeny little screen. So I'm not. It's like a more multi-purpose piece, but they don't really scan much of it. Beverly uses a tricorder, but if it's just basic scan, it links to the main scanners. Maybe it's not even scanning. It's just reading out what the main sick-based scanners are doing. So I think you can easily take what was in the movie and say it's a specialist, like, which links to the new one if it's less scan, more information.
And Dan, I think you misunderstood the article. Like, they said that the show is going to be an exploration for the kids of all of Star Trek, and they're going to take us along for the ride, which I think means they're going to be crossing multiple times and or dimensions.
I wouldn't necessarily think so, but I could maybe.
Well, that's what I'm hoping anyway. So yeah, they're taking inspiration from all elements of Star Trek. I get it, but I don't know why you keep pushing the issue. You know what I mean? Like, it is Prime, but, or they say it is, but you know what they think is Prime. So. And
I just took what they said as, we're animated, so we're gonna have a different art style because we're animated, and we'll take because all the licenses are together now. If we like this from this or this from this, we'll incorporate it. Not literally, there isn't a Kelvin phaser in the thing, but there's we like this shape, we'll make our own version of this. They don't feel limited to one or the other because it's animated. It's not going to be as, it doesn't have to conform to the same structural realizations as everything else because it's not being built, it's not being designed, it's not in the same way. So
yeah. Even though it will be built at some point, because these will be available for kids, I guarantee you.
I think it also depends on viewership and like interaction, because obviously, and not just that, but the idea of buying toys for your kids. I know obviously you're past that with your children, but with kids, and I heard this on a podcast the other day, but kids now watch Netflix and YouTube where there aren't really toy adverts or even adverts. So they're not necessarily seeing the things you can buy. So while they might say, "Oh, I'd love this thing from this show," it's like, well, that's okay, good for you, Timmy. That's the thing. Like, okay, oh yeah, I'll go and 3D print it. Cool, maybe. But they're not watching 5 cartoon commercials between the Saturday morning cartoons where there's 9 things. Oh, I want this, play set. So the idea of just kids wanting toys is now different than it's ever been. I have no idea. I don't necessarily think my kids are going to say, "Oh, I really want this, Rock'em Sock'em Robot toy that I saw on the TV." They'll say, "I want, Good Morning GMM's." What was it? That was the abbreviation. Good Mythical Mornings, socks. I want a shirt from them, or a Trekyards shirt. Like, that's now the merchandise. It's like, I want to support a YouTube creator. So, just a different world.
And Dan, we still don't know where the Protostar is from or what its design influences are. Whether it is from that's one of my ideas for the story, is that it's actually from the Kelvin timeline, because they've already made that a thing in Discovery season 3 with the temporal agent. What's his name? Yeah.
The easiest name possible, man. The easiest name possible.
The TNG guy. So I mean,
TNG guy.
And considering it's got this unique drive, who knows where it's from? It could literally be from the Kelvin universe to get over to our prime.
Yeah.
So
when or where, we literally don't know, and they haven't told us anything yet because they're saving it. So we can make deductions, but they also retcon things. So yeah, we don't know yet.
And General Grievous is here with $2.
There you go.
It feels like they put a tricorder and pad in one. Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely. And Darth Eddy says, shouldn't the tricorder that's labeled 2340 be from 2404 in the timeline? And in the alternate endgame timeline. Oh my god, I can't read today. Bleh.
Is that not what it is? 20. I thought it was 14. Well, yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, endgame.
The graphics not up for me anymore, so I can't see what he's talking about.
Yeah, endgame. You all know she uses it. It's fine. It's a smaller tricorder. She doesn't use very much. It's very like, very flippy. She's like, aha, I'm stealing your tech now. Ah. And more curved, I guess, would be the other, like, advanced. More curved. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, extended, it looks cool, but it just seems like there's no need to extend that tricorder at all.
Yeah, but then it would just be a pad. So you need that sort of motion to be a tricorder.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? What if it was thinner? What if it didn't have the delta side? And then flipped up, and then had buttons underneath, like 2 tiers of pad, like because they don't have the thinness of a tri. I think that would save it for me. If it was a thin sliding up unit.
It'd be yeah, it'd make more sense actually, but visually it's very cool. It's just that there's practically, I don't know why it would do what it's doing there. It just doesn't need to do that.
I also can't tell scaling because it fits in Zero's hand like it's nothing. But how big is Zero's hands? I don't know. And deltas aren't an indicator of size. Neither is text or font size. It doesn't mean anything. But I'm sure honestly, it's probably going to scale because it's animated. There is no actual physical prop. So I'm sure they are going to tweak the scale by 10% depending on which characters are hand, so it looks natural in the hand. Because that's the most important thing, how it flows in context. Which is, yeah, fine, you know, context. It's like the Enterprise D can't dock at the DS9 pylons. Well, it did in the show. It's like, it can, but it can't. Like, it like fits the entire. It's really, 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 really a big hassle. It's like 95% of the size of it, but whatever. But it didn't. It shouldn't be see-through at the top. That really was such a mistake. It should have been like. It should have been flat metal with the scanning bars. So as soon as it clicks up, that's the emitter, and then the emitter would be hidden in not operation, because then you go from pad mode to scanning mode. Pad to tricorder, and that's the transition point. Damn it! That's all you have to do. Then it'd be like, oh yeah, it is literally both in one. Oh, I'm annoyed by that, Stuart. That fixes it.
Yeah.
But let's put another poll up.
Because I don't think we're going to get an explanation in the show about why it does this. If anything, it'd be in a technical manual in like 2 years from now. But, oh well. Yeah, put another poll up and I'll read SVS Guru 2000's €5 super chat. It says, if they are planning to sell toys, it probably is small enough to fit in a child's hands. You say that, but when Playmates made the phasers, they were fucking huge. Way too big. Oversized even. So, yeah, I don't know. Small is relative. And they're not going to make the mini version of it. The only way you get a mini version of this is if it's in like a McDonald's like a McDonald's Happy Meal or something.
Yeah. No, for sure. And yeah, they'll do their whatever size is. I mean, we can fit a lot more into a smaller package now with tech, but they'll oversize it for kids because it's easier and less breakable. Yeah, the phase. I mean, you know, you saw they released the TNG cricket phaser, and I always hated the size. It felt stupid to me because it's like 10 times bigger than the original prop, because the original prop is absurdly small, and it's like what doesn't work because the big one it doesn't, because it's not meant to. Yes. Yeah. Whereas weirdly the TOS type one really kind of works well. It's like just the right small. Yeah.
Oh. Well, let us know, guys. Is there any kind of functionality that you can think of for this thing sliding up? Because to extend range, don't think so. That seems silly.
Doesn't reveal more scanning space. We've already established that.
No.
I mean, it is.
It just looks cool.
Yeah, it is to have a motion element that the other one has. Normal tricorder, that's it. Otherwise, it would just be a pad. But it needed the blinkies. It needed it. Oh, it's so close.
Yeah. And Darth Eddie, yes, I've said that too. That he says, come to think of it, the phaser on the Protostar does look like what would happen if you over-engineered hand phasers from the Kelvin timeline movies involved into TNG-style weapons. Looks like a TNG Kelvin version of the phaser. So I'd be perfectly happy and content to find out that ship's from the Kelvin universe.
So it would then explain the back glow bits at the end of the nacelles.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Should
lens
explain a lot
flares.
of things.
Well,
Interiors.
the bridge.
Yeah. But
like,
yeah, it's the Apple Store bridge. Look
Mhm.
at Kirk's captain's chair and imagine that evolving into the clamshell thing.
Mhm.
Definitely doable.
I would explain how giant the captain's room is, because gotta be big for a captain.
Uh-huh.
We'll see, Stuart. We aren't there yet. We've barely begun the show. Let's be brutally honest. They've barely got off world. And to the point they've now got to a different world.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't done yet.
Lower than the lowest deck says. To be honest, I'm finding it hard to engage with Prodigy. It's not hooking me like lower decks did. My buddy Dave said the same thing. It's obviously geared at children. It's got childish storylines. I'm like, what are you watching? I don't understand the...
Oh, lost you there, Stuart. Hold on.
Anyway.
Hold on.
I think...
No. Stuart, come back. We don't want to lose you. No, Stuart. Oh, no. Oh, no. In you. But keep commenting, guys. Keep telling us what do you think. And vote in the poll, guys. I really want to see... I want to see you guys have... I want to see your thoughts put to action. Where is the Stuart? What?
That was weird. It lost internet connection. Okay.
Right, childish for kids, Stuart. Sorry, go back in. What were you saying? You don't quite get it. I think it was the point you're making.
Yeah. I didn't say much because I saw you freeze right away. So,
okay.
I just don't understand where people are coming from with that. I think they're going into it with a certain mindset, thinking it's a kids show and maybe focusing too much on that. But I've been really enjoying it. It feels like Star Trek, especially that last episode. So I have no issues. I don't think it's too childish. I don't know why people aren't engaging with it. A lot of people aren't even watching it because they heard it was a kids show and they're not a fan of animation, which I think they're missing out on personally. But, teach their own.
Although
they'll eventually see it, hopefully.
And the animation thing is you can't win that personal preference. I know someone in the fan film world that said, just you can't connect with animated characters. I'm like, I'm sorry for you. Like that's not going to, not going to change. But can't blame them for that. It's all good. But yeah, I wouldn't call the show kiddish. I would certainly call it dumbed down a little bit. But again, look at like Discovery season 1 and some of the things they were doing. It's not as if that was the most. It's relative, isn't it? So. But it's it sort of knows what it is mostly, has fun with it, and we're also really in the start, because if they knew they were getting 20 episodes from the start, that's double the amount of show that Discovery got, give or take, Picard got, Lower Decks got, so they can afford to take it slow, very slow in comparison. So the absolute we only had 3 episodes, 3 releases, 4 episodes. And they've just done 3 things. We haven't got started yet,
General Grievous, $2. Alex Kurtzman cuts Stewart's feed.
He tries.
And he's even punched his TV because he said he found out that I don't like him.
Oh, that was
true story, guys. True story.
Oh, yeah. That was such a thing. Oh my God.
S1 Noir says, I think the fart jokes are pretty undeniable.
One.
Well, and later in the episode, he was in the swamp, and there was like 2 puffs of like green gas in front of him, which kind of tied into that. So, but yeah, it's fine. It's just like Orville as far as comedy so far. So,
well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's a.
How is this poll going now? Ooh, how do you rate the tricorder?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need more votes. We only got 33 votes, guys. So go vote. We have 65 people here. Please go vote on the poll. And hit that like button. We need another 16 likes to get to 100. I think that's very doable.
Mm-hmm. Oh dear.
Why the internet is so bad today. There's no one even in the house at all. Anyway.
Everybody votes. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, keep voting. But I hope they talk about this being a pad. And I do think when we see Chakotay's ship, we're going to see a more classical version of things. Because that's the contrast factor, right? Of the
It's going to be like
things.
the Cerritos versus the Titan.
Yes. Mostly. I mean, they have the same phase and tricorders, but yes, it feels distinct because there is
uniforms and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's you want the Protostar to feel special to the kids. They're watching it, their first ship, their first trek, their first tricorder, their first phaser, all of which connects to a younger, more visually oomph mindset. Love it, great. So you want to see the classic stuff to resonate with the this is the other guys. They have the military. That's a much simpler phaser. You know, yeah, it's a phaser. You know. What?
Hold on here. Dan says they kept the animated series scientific for kids. They didn't dumb it down. And then somebody calls him out and says, have you watched the animated series lately? LOL. Avenue Pad. Okay, Avenue Pad. The animated series was written by some of the original writers of the original series, including DC Fontana, and they had pretty great story elements, which were just straight Trek episodes condensed down. So I don't know what you're talking about. They didn't dumb it down for kids at all. A lot of kids, I don't think, would necessarily understand what's going on in a lot of the animated series episodes, honestly. So no, they didn't dumb it down. Dan is correct on that. So when's the last time you watched the animated series? General Grievous, $5. People want to make a judgment. Only 3 episodes in, most Trek took till the end of second season to get its legs. Even Clone Wars was a slow burn starting. Clone Wars is a perfect example. Yes, season 1's a little bit for me. I'm in season 2 now. God damn, I gotta watch. I don't have time to watch anything.
But there's also a slight difference with this. This show is. I feel like when Clone Wars came out, especially the movie was very dumbed down, and everyone knows that the pilot movie is so basic. It's such a kids' film. The TV show is then an evolution of that from season 1, but very, very, very dumbed down. But it was even in cinemas, and I remember at that time. There were, normal Star Wars fans that came out saying, "What the hell is this?" Because it was extremely for kids, right? Which Star Wars is, but they dumbed it down. But at that point, Clone Wars is what it is. It's a great experiment, but you're not going to judge it next to everything else. It was what it was. Prodigy, unfortunately, or fortunately, is being compared to everything else in the Trek world because, A, production value is extremely high. Clone Wars was nice at the time in season 1, but it wasn't like groundbreaking. It was nice. Nice, good. But this looks really freaking good. It's really, really high end for what it is, right? And it's actually in the present, not the past, because Clone Wars was during, I think it's already happened. And they're not going to change canon. This is now in a time that may matter. And with legacy characters coming in, Clone Wars sort of did.
Yeah.
But they also took in brand new... definitely did, but they definitely did directions because they weren't who they were.
And Star Trek Prodigy is being scrutinized a lot because of some of the other Star Trek shows that shall not be mentioned that are new Trek that people are looking for something more to lock onto. So people are really kind of scrutinizing everything now. Maybe being a little too overcritical of things because of, let's say, Picard and Discovery. So
fool us once, shame on me, and then fool us. At a certain point they burn the bridges.
Yeah.
Which is why some people didn't enjoy season 3 as much of Discovery, which is actually a decent show. Just took 3 reboots and hundreds of millions. Oopsie.
And Tim Shadley says, Star Trek Prodigy, I turned it off at 7:55 after the first bout of cliched tropes from the bad guys. Wow. You're really missing out, but okay. To each their own.
I mean, you know, I see that means you turn off lots of things. You know, any action film where the baddies make a monologue, or the villains can't shoot straight, or the heroine just gets away, and you're just like, oh,
all of them then.
Bad Boys 1. Oh, turn it off then. You know. Oh, in that sci-fi, the alien speaks English. That's a trope. Off. I was being sarcastic here. I'm not normally sarcastic, but you know, if you're really judging the show by that logic, then you must enjoy very little content because everything uses tropes. It's kind of how you spin on them is interesting. I'm sorry if you don't enjoy any media. I mean, it means you probably enjoy specific content a lot more because it's fresh and original. But you know, hey.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Tim.
SVS Guru 2000, €5.
Boom.
How soon do you think Chakotay's ship will
Not
meet
soon
up
enough.
with the Protostar? I think they'll only meet at the end, and they will just show some cutaways. Disagree. I don't think it'll be at the end of the season at all. So I'm thinking halfway through the season, maybe during the next.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. Do you mean halfway through the 20-episode season, the 10-episode kind of original season? Like, there's kind of now distinct fields of breaks. Like, there's going to be first 10, first 5. You know what I mean?
I think we're actually going to see him before the end of this next episode on Thursday. And it's going to be the hook that's going to be like, oh shit, we got to watch all Discovery now until we can see more Prodigy.
Damn, Discovery getting in the way. Oh no. Like I said, we're going to have one of 3 things going to happen at the end of the next episode. Either Diviner's going to show up, Kazon's going to show up, or Chakotay's ship's going to show up, or a signal. Something of that ilk. Not so you literally turn up, but like, they're incoming. How far? 4 minutes. And then 4 minutes is actually 4 months you know, of time. But I would definitely this season, I would assume we'd get cutaways to him at a certain point before he defines them, because you can't really have a duel. Like, he would take over the ship, or his crew would. So they can't really be interactive with the crew. I'm sure he's going to chase them as the vibe, rather than actually with them, would be my assumption.
I get the sense that he's going to just suddenly appear and save the day, and there's going to be some reason that they don't just beam over some commanders to the ship and take it over.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing the reason. Like,
I do too.
There'll be one, I'm sure. Just I wonder what. Yeah.
How's that poll coming along?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, we got 49 votes. More, guys. 63 of you here. There's a poll. Go vote on it. 10 more likes would be awesome to get to 100 as well. So. And
a final super chat goal, if you want to give us, Joe. Challenge the wonderful people out there.
I'm trying to math. My brain's just not working today. Another $40 would be awesome. There you go. Just do that. SVS Guru 2005 €. Or the Herogen show up. I
said that. Did say that. The civilian Herogen. And Darth Eddie says, one thing Discovery did get right was a tricorder design for 10 years before TOS. It's a great match with TOS and Star Trek 3. Yes, no, the phase and tricorder both look nice and mostly fit. You could probably retro them a little bit more, but yeah, both are at least, you know what they are and you know when they are. That's really important. Even if they're modernized, you know when they are. They can't be any other time.
Yeah, I've been a fan of the Discovery Phaser since the show started, so.
Yeah, I remember at the time it was annoying because like so many things like what the hell is this, and they were like, oh, these are good. And then it's like, what the hell? Why is this share from the Franklin? Why is this? Oh, that's a really good phaser. Why? It's so confusing. Didn't really help.
Yeah. 7 more likes, guys. Hit that like button. And last super chat slot's still available. We got SVS Guru 2000 that currently has it. So if anybody else, Area 51, if you're still here, you got the first blood super chat again today. Are you gonna try for the last one again? Just asking.
Only he knows. But we'll end the poll though with 51 votes, which is a great 50. I said, how do you rate this tricorder? Amazing, 10%. Good, 56%. Landslide right there, I think. Okay, 27%, and I don't like it, 8%. So that's a solid B grade, C, B grade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Good is good enough.
Good is good enough. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna ask one more brief question, just for context of who, where our audience is.
Go for it.
Thank you.
5 more likes, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I've run out of things to say about the tricorder. Honestly, I have more to
Mm-hmm.
say about it. Actually, the phaser we had not much more to discuss.
Well, the tricorder is more. I mean, it slides up. There's no more buttons. It's like it is just a screen or a slide. There literally isn't anything else to the design, which is strange.
Yeah. I wonder if nobody on the protostar detects Trojan ships or life readings in their system because they've hunted their own star system dry and killed off any native life forms. Well, that was my theory about the planet they're on. That because those vines basically read your thoughts and give you whatever you want, that the Hirogen engineered it, put it on the planet to become the ultimate hunting planet. You imagine a beast you want to hunt. This thing creates it. But the problem is, it destroyed all life on the planet.
To feed.
Yeah, to feed. Yeah, exactly.
Like the Hirogen didn't realize how much it would need. As more Hirogen went there, the more it had to be fed by the indigenous life forms. The bigger it got. At a certain point, overpopulated, overate, and then boom, now it controls the whole planet.
Yep.
I have a video coming out on that, I believe, tomorrow, in fact, because we'd like to do a live on the Hirogen, or at least the steeper ship, because those are both interesting topics that are fantastic hints. And we do have some good videos coming out, guys, the rest of the week. We filmed already. You will probably enjoy them. But I put a new poll. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I put a new poll up though. Oh, I got the date wrong by. Yeah, I flipped the number wrong. Anyway, you know which one it is, because that would be way far back. How do you write the Picard era phaser? Amazing, good, okay, I don't like it. So the Picard one, I just flipped the 8 and the 6 wrong around because I was trying to do it. Please vote now. I'm interested to see, based on your thoughts on the other two props. I'm interested to see where you come down on the very gun-like phaser. So let us know. The Picard phaser, specifically the big grey one at the end, the latest in this era lineup. Amazing, good, okay, I don't like it. Yes.
General Grievous, who's been a member for 3 months, the captain, says it would be nice to see other caretaker Suspiria.
That's true.
Also, do you think they'll have a run-in with the Vidians? Also, follow up on what happened to the Borg. The Borg thing, I don't care about. Everybody asks what's going on with the Borg, but the Vidians, they're cured. Who cares? The caretaker thing, all right, cool, I'm down. But honestly, the other ones I don't care about. I wouldn't mind running into the Voth, honestly. Let's see what the Voth are doing.
Well, no. Them running into you, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They ain't they're transporting right into you. I mean, yeah.
And I'm sure there'd be a few other Delta Quadrant aliens I'd like to see, but the Borg, I just don't care. I just don't care anymore.
I mean, they'll be mentioned offhand as that they went away at a certain point, la la la. That'll happen at some point, offhand, like the Hirogen system, offhand mention. I like the idea of seeing a cured Vidian, and now it's not a thing so much anymore. That'd be lovely. And then how that culture impact. I mean, it's a bit dark, but how is that post culture like? And then was a third option.
The caretaker.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah.
SPS Guru 2005 euros. I recently watched Balance of Terror, never actually watched TOS, and was shocked that the Enterprise relays burn out after just a few phaser shots. Well, that's because it was basically a submarine adventure, so we had to have relatable, things happening that would be on a submarine. Plus, it was the 60s. They didn't know about computers and technology and stuff, so...
I mean, you can also argue that they were fighting a very powerful foe, so they put everything on at maximum, and they aren't warships. You shouldn't fire anything on maximum, but they realize if we don't go strong, we'll go home. Yes, it's a bit... Yeah, they definitely had a vibe of, running outable magazines, burning out things. But yeah, it's certainly an odd choice. But we are about closing out, guys. So any more votes in the poll? But it looks to be an interesting split, and in the medium. But currently, I don't like it is running away with it a little bit, which is interesting. So everyone likes the Prodigy phaser far more than the Picard phaser.
Well, I do too. It doesn't feel like a Starfleet phaser. It feels like a Klingon or a Romulan disruptor.
It feels like an assault phaser, Stuart.
No, it feels like a disruptor.
Feels like an assault disruptor, Stuart.
There you go. Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow for another topic on one of those things we mentioned. You guys did get us our minimum goal. Awesome. We were a bit worried there at the start, but always good, always good. And just to get you guys who are here know, I'm intending to, although we see how much not free time, but how much time I have. I did go to Destination Star Trek this past weekend. I did get some prints with multitude of actors there. Some were pre-ordered by you fine folk. Some, well, most weren't, but some were. I might be doing if you've donated for our Indiegogos in the past, I might be sending an email out saying, hey, you guys get first dibs for Christmas season. Would you like a print for Christmas? Because, we can only do with the funds for other things. And I've got some more graphics on the way, etc. So if you ever donated to one of the Indiegogos, you'll be getting an email. We've got Kate Mulgrew and George Takei prints. They mount up in terms of what we had to pay for them, but that's really freaking cool. And, to watch George Takei signing your artwork is always a nice feeling. Kind of hard to express, really. And Mulgrew, I've never, I had a photo shoot with, and then you walk away. I never got to see her, properly see her. So that was quite nice. Now she's more popular again, because, when I met her, she was in Voyager off the air for 12 years, 15 years, and, and I was like, oh, she's back. But yeah, if anyone donating Indiegogo, expect that before Christmas. And if you'd like to get one of those prints, let us know, because, who doesn't want a Voyager signed by Mulgrew? The problem is I've only got a couple, because they're expensive. So, if I email and you want one, get them, and they won't be on future Indiegogos. But if you get them, then hey, you're the regulars, so you certainly deserve the first dibs. So you guys support what we do here. So there you go. That's my little pimp out if you're been a donator in such a way before. Yeah.
And Avenue Pad, $5. I wasn't trying to put the animated series down. I actually really like it. It has high-level sci-fi and sometimes not. It can be hit and miss, is all I was saying.
Hit and miss is a good phraseology, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's still got even the miss ones still feel like TOS episodes. There's some TOS episodes which were misses as well, which are kind of silly and goofy. So,
yeah.
Area 51, $5. Might be the last super chat again.
We're about to stop.
Book in the super chat.
Fantastic.
Says, I'd like to see the consequences the Vidians had to deal with, given what they had to do to find a cure.
I would too. Yeah.
Sure. I'll agree with you guys.
But there we go. Area wins that, and we'll see you tomorrow. So until then, he is Captain Foley.
And he